the scrub hare. Look at her walking down the road proudly with her kill. How cool is that? Hello, Thandi. It's been so long since we found her and seen her that this is so cool. And she's right slap bang in the middle of the reserve. Now, I'm going to reverse back because otherwise she's going to go off the road. And I don't want her to go off the road because it's a situation where once she's off the road, it's going to be difficult to follow her. I want her to try and follow the road course as she goes because I'm pretty sure that's how she's going to lead us back to the cub. And so we're going to try and stay in front of her. But how cool is that? You can see she's obviously caught this scrub hare in the course of walking, because when Aubrey first spotted her, he said to me all he saw was her walking but no sign of any scrub hare. And now when we got her now, she obviously, as you can see, has made a kill. So very opportunistic, and this is typical Thandi, is to grab small carcasses like this and then able to try and kind of drag them back to her cub. Now, I think we can, Nikki, I think it will be more than fun to add some new viewers to our broadcast. We'll just go live on our various platforms as Thandi carries her cub around. I mean, not her cub, her carcass. But there we go, she's slowly kind of walking down towards us. Isn't this cool? Look at how she walks with her head held high. Hello, girl. It's been very long. Where have you been? We do indeed. So our leopard is still walking with her scrub hare straight towards us. We've looped round and she's going exactly where I've been walking around trying to find her little one. So we're in the exact right place, and I'm pretty sure she's going to call the cub out fairly shortly, and we'll get a reunion of mom with the carcass as well, which is going to be absolutely insane. Good afternoon and welcome to sunny South Africa with one of the most amazing sights that you could ever see. We've got a female leopard that is busy carrying a scrub hare in her mouth, and the reason she's carrying it is because she's taking it to her little cub. Now, my name is Tristan, and on camera I've got Viam, and we are coming to you live from South Africa, as I said, which means that this is interactive, and you guys can interact with us by just asking any questions or comments that you have in the comment section below, and we'll try and answer as many as possible. But this is so exciting. We've been looking for this leopard for days and days and days and days. She's our most kind of well-known female leopard in this area, and she's got a little cub that we've been following over the course of the last 5 months, and there's been a new male in the area which has caused this female to move out and to go somewhere else, and so we haven't really been seeing her nearly as much, and so it's really exciting to kind of have her back in the area and to have her with us. Now, I'm trying to reverse with her because I know her cub is very, very close by. We've been trying to track her and the cub all afternoon, and we've managed to kind of find where the cub is. We just couldn't get a view of it, and now that mom's coming back with a kill, we should have a situation where we're going to hear her calling. Now, we're not far from where the cub was a little bit earlier, maybe about, I would say, 50 meters away from where we are. And if we stop here, there's going to be a path that's going to come, and this leopard should walk directly down the path towards us. It is really the best thing that you can have, is to be able to find a leopard like this. Like I say, she's got food, she's going towards a cub, and we're going to see the reunion of her and her cub together. And look at how proudly she's walking with that scrub hare in her mouth as it dangles. Now, this kill was an opportunistic kill. We had a situation where she was walking along and she saw the scrub hare and burst out and she grabbed it, and now she's carrying it back to the cub so that the cub can get vital nutrients to grow and get bigger. Now, I'm going to have to reverse a little bit because she's coming straight towards us, and this is one of the best things about being in the Sabi Sands Game Reserve in Greater Kruger National Park, is that we have this ability to get very, very, very close and intimate with one of Africa's most elusive cats. So here in South Africa, this is one of the best places in the world for leopard viewing. The Sabi Sands is a world-renowned area for leopards, and it's because the leopards here generally are a lot more relaxed than in other parts of the world, and that means that it allows us these intimate views of their lives, and we're able to see them and their cubs up close, which is very, very special. Now, I'm sorry if my head gets in the way. I'm trying to reverse while she's walking towards me because she's kind of trying to walk up the road. Now, where we are now pretty much at this spot is the last tracks that I've had for the cub running around here, and I had some nyala barking in this area, and so I'm pretty sure she's going to kind of call the cub very soon. Now, Ali from Pakistan, you saying hello. Well, hello, Ali. I hope that you are well and enjoying this. Remember that you can ask lots and lots of questions. So if you have any questions about the leopard or the scrub hare or its cub, please let us know and we'll try and answer as many as possible. Now, I'm just trying to keep kind of in front so that we can just see her walking towards us. And you'll notice that there is another car in the area, and that's because people have come out to come see these animals in real life. So South Africa is one of the best places in the world for an all-year-round safari. Even though we're in our summer months and our rainfall times, this is a great time of year to be here because it's a time of plenty, lots of baby animals, which means that the predators are very, very active because they are going to be hunting a lot of the baby animals that are around. Now, we're just trying to keep up with her as much as possible. It's really difficult with the kind of winding of the road to reverse and follow a leopard and try and kind of see where you're going. But so far, so good, I think. She's just going to go behind that bush. She'll come past it now. But I'm trying to give her a little bit of space. I don't want to be right in her face. That's the thing about following wildlife, and why we're able to get so close to these leopards is because we spend a lot of time with them and give them their space. Diego, is only currently one cub with this female. She's an older female. She's now closing in on 12. And when they get older, you'll find a situation where they generally do have smaller litters. So in the prime of her life, she would have been able to produce 2, 3, normally 2 with this particular female. All of her previous litters have been 2 cubs, and now she's only just had the little 1 cub. And that one cub is about now close to 6 months old and still very reliant on mom. It's going to take a long time until it's going to be hunting for itself. Paula, the scrub hare that we're referring to, it does look just like a rabbit and is part of the same family. So rabbits and scrub hares are in the same family. It's just that a scrub hare is an animal that we get here that occurs in this particular part of South Africa that comes out at night. So hares are animals that are generally more active at night. Now, there's going to be a bark from an antelope shortly because there's an antelope right next to us called a nyala. And that nyala, when it sees the leopard, you see the leopard has spotted the nyala as well? And it's watching, even though it's got a kill in its mouth. Leopards are super opportunistic. Look at how she's watching. So the nyala's right here. There goes the nyala bouncing away. And she's going to watch that nyala. And even if she had a chance, if the nyala ran towards her, she would drop that scrub hare and go after it. And that's why leopards are one of the most successful cats that we get in the world, because they are able to kind of hunt things at random and all kinds of variety of foods. So Michelle, you're asking if she's comfortable around vehicles. As you can see here, she's walking right at me. She's not showing any aggression. She's not running off the road. If she was uncomfortable with me being in front of her, she would have cut off into the road. And also with the vehicles following behind her, she would have tried to have disappeared into a thicket. So she's more than comfortable with us. Like I say, this is a female that has been in this area for 12 years. And so she's had vehicles following her. Started to give her a little bit more room than what I have, because she's going to need to be able to walk. This is where I think the cub is, right where we are now. This is the kind of area where I last had alarm calls for those nyala before we found her. And the last cub track I had, like I say, is right in this section. So I'm pretty sure this cub is going to be somewhere close by and that she's going to call it out fairly shortly. And there we go. Let's see now. There's a little termite mound that she might go to. So, Robbie, the cub is of age now where it could probably devour that entire hare. It's in a situation where it's able to eat quite a bit, but mom will get a share of it. So between her and mom, they'll both feed, and it's just a little meal for them. Like I said, if you can imagine, if she gets 2 or 3 of these in a night, that'll be enough to kind of keep all of them well fed. But look how she's cutting off. You see, she knows now exactly where she's going to find her cub and to be able to try and then call it out. So I'm pretty sure the cub is right here somewhere. I know that she's hidden it somewhere here. Soon she'll drop that carcass and call. And before we see that little cub come out, one of the special things about being in the Sabi Sands is that you're able to track animals on foot. And Taylor has managed to find some lions. Well, look who's come out. The little cub has made an appearance. So there's that cute little face of the small one. So mom has walked straight to her. And isn't this just the most amazing and uncanny thing that a female leopard can go off and hunt and walk directly back to where her little one is sitting, even though she left it many, many hours ago. She managed to come down the road and straight to where this little cub is. Now the cub is tucking into the carcass. The cub is the one that has now got the scrub hair. And you look how it's looking at it quizzically. I know it's very thick, dense grass, but this is where a leopard likes to leave its cub, and so it's the perfect place for leopards. They allow their cubs to hide here, and they go off and hunt and come back, and they know it's very difficult for other animals to find it. So we managed to get the little cub as well, which is so exciting. So Alyssa, it is now 5 past 5 in the afternoon here in South Africa, and so it's the perfect time of day now. Now in the summer months, it's a little warmer, and so this is the time that the predators get active. And so you were wondering about when the cats are most active, and this is the time now. As that sun is starting to set, it's starting to cool down, and this is when lions and leopards and wild dogs will start to come out and start to move around as they begin prep for either hunting or trying to follow their prey, and being able to then try and kind of come up with a way to sort of hunt them, or to be able to go and scent mark. So it's the best time of day for the cats, and that's why we drive at this time of the day. It's also the temperatures are much better at this time of the day. Baharan, you say you're in Malaysia, and it's 11:05 p.m. there, so you're in the middle of the night, and I'm glad that you stayed up and managed to join us for this, and that you're interacting with us. It's always nice to hear from all the people around the world that end up watching what goes on with our show, and so I'm glad that you've joined us, and hopefully that you're enjoying it. Now, this little cub is busy snacking down below, and it's a bit of an obscured view, and so we're going to try and kind of see if we can find somewhere better to be able to see them. But it's been an absolute pleasure to have you all with us this afternoon. Hopefully you've all enjoyed it, and we'll hopefully see you again on Safari Live, coming live from South Africa. Guys, how cool is this? So Tlalamba is with Thandi and is now playing with the scrub here. I do want to move, because if we go down onto the bottom of the bank, we're going to get a much better view of the two of them. But what an epic sighting, and a welcome back to the center of Djuma for our two favorite leopards, well, my two favorite leopards that we've got here. It's been so long, and this little cub is so big. I can't believe how much bigger it looks. At first we were kind of looking at this little face through the grass, and we thought maybe that it was Thandi, and actually it's the little one. And so she's growing up in front of us, and it's amazing to think that this is not even 100 meters from where we first had a sighting of her, in that little cave as a tiny little fluff ball. So it's so cool to see her again, and I'm absolutely thrilled that we've managed to pick her up, and it's amazing that she's back in, like I say, the center part of Djuma. But what I want to try and do is try and just get into a better view. Also, there's some of the other guys that are with us here that haven't seen her, so I'm going to try and position so that they can see her, and we can try and go maybe down, and because our car is so much smaller, it's going to be able to fit a little bit better down at the bottom. So that's kind of the plan for us, and that allows these guys to be able to get into a situation where they can also have a little look at mom and cub, and so that's what we're going to have to do. But it's going to be a bit of a kind of loop around to get there. Oh, now, come on, Wendy is the name. I'm getting confused between Rusty, Jigger, Wendy. I feel like I'm on all the vehicles, which is not ideal. They all have their own characteristics and their own ways about them, and so when you drive them, you get kind of confused between all of them, and they all feel so different. But let me try and head down to where it is. I know a little two-track that goes down. In fact, you'll see my footprints all over the road here, because this is where we've been tracking all afternoon. So it's kind of a situation where Liam and I were walking around here. We knew this little cub was here, given that the Franklins were alarm calling. Nyala, but it was just we were frustrated because I think the little cub was just watching us and almost playing a game in a way, and that it was just doing its own little thing, trying to kind of hide away from us, and a little nervous to be on its own. But anyway, it's good we found them now, and that's all that matters. And so hopefully we're going to be able to get down to where they are. Now, the problem that I'm thinking is that we might lose reception, so I do apologize if the gremlins kick in, but if we can get down into here, it's going to be so much better in terms of our ability to actually see them and be able to view them, that I think it's going to be really worth it. And Thandi is actually lying inside this drainage line. I can see. But now I've got to figure out a way to get through to where she is. It's possible because VM and I have done this. In fact, VM and I were talking about it earlier. The last time we were in here was tracking Thandi and Cub, and she actually gave us the slip that day, and I lost my cell phone, and I had to come around and to do a bit of cell phone tracking, which is not really good. Now, Nikki, I'm afraid I'm going to have to drop the antenna, so you are going to lose reception if I do so. So we're going to have to send you off to somewhere else, otherwise I'm not going to be able to move at all. Right, now we're going to send you across to Brent while I negotiate. This will only take 2 minutes, and then hopefully we'll see you back with the cute little Tlalamba and Thandi. Now, we've had to try and reposition and find a better way to see her because unfortunately we've got no signal down in that drainage line. Don't know what happened. We had, and all of a sudden it just disappeared. I have to go try and get a little forward for VM, although there's nothing we can really do from where we are. It's the only visual that we can get, and the little cub has dragged the scrub hair further away. It's gone deep into this thicket, and so unfortunately that's all we're going to have for now. It's just the back legs of Thandi and her tail. Hopefully though she'll kind of reposition herself and move slightly, and then we can kind of try and wangle our way somewhere where we can try and see a little bit better than what we've got right now. But unfortunately that's the best we can do at the moment. It was an epic sighting though. At least we had her walking down the road towards us with that scrub hair in her mouth. Absolutely amazing. So hopefully we'll be able to kind of figure something out somewhere along the line here, and we'll be able to give you guys a much better view than what we've got at the moment. But it's, for now, that's what we're going to have to wait for. There was a bit of a thicket down there as well, so it's not surprised that Wendy's not getting reception. The only one that really seems to be able to cope inside there is Rusty, and even then, now in the summer months with so much vegetation and thickets, it's very difficult for the signal to actually reach in there at all. Trust Thandi to go into a place like that. It seems to be a typical Thandi maneuver, although I don't blame her. It's the perfect place for her to kind of stash her cub. It's thick, it's dense, it's really difficult for anybody to actually get to her or anything to get to the cub, and so it makes sense for her as a mom to be able to do it like that, and that's why, you know, she's done really well to be able to get herself into this situation. So I'm glad for her, and I'm glad that she's got herself at least a bit of a meal, although Tlalamba just took it straight away and kind of walked off with it and dragged it into the thickets. Mina, no, leopards are random. They walk at any time, but prefer to be walking around at dusk and dawn. So they're crepuscular animals, which means that they come out at dawn and dusk and move around in the hours just after dusk or sunset and just before sunrise. And so that's their preferred time. But I've seen leopards walking in 40-degree heat, 30-degree heat. I've seen them walking around middle of the day, middle of the night. They're pretty random in the way that they go about it. It's whenever opportunity strikes, but generally you find around sunset and sunrise is their peak sort of activities, just before and just after those two, and a little bit kind of, you know, into the night as well. But for the most part, it's around the sort of sun coming up and down in the world, which is very good. Now, what I'm going to try and do is I'm just going to try and reposition ourselves a little bit, not to go down into the drainage, but just to try and get VM a little bit of a better view, because I can almost make out Thandi's head from where I am. So if I can straighten VM up, I think VM might be able to get a much better view of what's going on. So we're going to just try and kind of... I'm just hesitant to get too low, though, because I don't want a situation where we kind of lose signal again. So there we go. I know that there's a tree slap bang in the middle of her face and her body, but that's the best I can kind of do for now. So she's kind of down in the drainage, and it's going to be really tough to be able to kind of see much from up here. And it's one of those things where, you know, we're going to have to just be patient and hope wherever she moves that we can still maintain a view. And like I say, the cub is behind her at the moment. Is kind of moving around in the background there, and so hopefully she'll call. She has been kind of slowly murmuring and mumbling and trying to call her cub back out, and so hopefully the little one will come popping out and come and play with mom, and we'll get a better view. But you can see typical Thandi eyes, those ones that have fire in them, watching us from behind that tamboti tree. It's very typical of her as she moves around. She's kind of that way inclined, and that she'll kind of get her head in position. So, Giraffe, will you say any sighting of these two is very, very special? Well, it is. It's always amazing to see these two, and we're very fortunate that we've been able to spend as much time as we have with them over the course of the past few months. Obviously, it's been a bit quiet in the last sort of 6 weeks since Hukumuri, or 6 to 8 weeks since Hukumuri has been spending so much more time on Djuma. But it's still nice that we've had them, and we've been able to get so many great moments from these two, and it's very special whenever we get to see them. So even though it is an obscured view, you're right, it is still special. It's still a leopard, and it's still one of those things that you kind of get super excited about. So, and you never know what's going to happen. It's seriously hot down in that drainage, though. We were in there, and there is absolutely no wind to speak of. It is humid inside there, and so I wonder if maybe she might just come up onto the bank just to get a bit of a breeze. It's much cooler up on this bank at the moment. The thing is, though, she won't walk far from her cub while the cub is feeding, because obviously she needs to protect it. But you see, she's just giving a little soft contact call there, so hopefully the little one will come bounding along and join mom up on, well, in a little bit more of the open area. But it dragged the scrub here all the way across that drainage line into the thicket, so it's already just like mom in that it knows where to drag carcasses in order to hide them and stash them away and kind of keep them sort of hidden from sight. The interesting thing, though, is that you can see that this cub is more nervous than what it was a few weeks ago, and that's because it's just had so much less time with vehicles over the past 2 months. The first few months it was really kind of relaxed because there was a lot of cars around, and we kind of got into it, and she was starting to get used to us, and then she's kind of disappeared and had very few sightings of her, and that's meant that she's a little more kind of nervous, or not nervous, but she's nervy. She kind of sees the car and she's not sure, and then she'll trot a little bit, and then she'll be like, oh, actually, hang on a second, why am I trotting? And then she stops, and then she comes walking towards the car, and she watched us for quite a while, and then kind of moved off and kind of moved back towards the little scrub here and did her own thing. So very much a personality, and it's amazing how she dominated that scrub here. As soon as Thandi arrived and dropped it, she was onto it like a flash and took it for herself and then walked off with it. So I think she's going to be a situation where she's going to feed off it quite a lot. Tanya, the cub might want to try and still nurse, but essentially no. If you look at Thandi, around her back legs, it's really difficult because of the way the branch is lying, but she's not really producing much milk anymore. Her stomach is much thinner. She's not got these teats that are exposed from suckling, so I'm sure that little one is starting to be weaned off now. It's normally around 6 to 8 months that they start to get weaned, and so it's probably enjoying meat far more than it's enjoying mom's milk. It's not to say that it won't go for mom's milk every now and then. It will try, but I'm pretty sure Thandi is essentially trying to wean it as quick as possible and try and make sure that it's kind of kept off and off the teats and is now onto more meat and being able to then feed. Hello, girl. I'm just sneaking your face out from behind the tree. Hopefully, I'm hoping that the little one decides to come and play on the sand, because it will be so nice if she does. But there goes Thandi deeper in, which is exactly what I didn't want, because we're not going to be able to keep view of her as she goes, unfortunately. So that might be the end of it for us, I'm afraid. As she goes down into that thicket, there's really no way for me to get signal down in there, and so I'm not sure. We'll see. It does climb quite a bit in about 50 meters from where she is. So I'm going to just stick around and just see if she starts to climb up a little bit and go onto the other side of this drainage. Then I might just try and reposition and try and see if we can maybe get a view. But for now, that might be the last sighting that we have of the two of them for today. So I'm pretty sure they'll still be around tomorrow, but we'll just have to see how it goes. Good. While I try and kind of think about where I can position and try and see if we can get some signal, let's send you across to Taylor. But Nikki is actually feeding the link that I'm giving Taylor to me. So she's going to go to Taylor, and she's not going to go. So Nikki hasn't heard what she's saying. So, Nikki, you on the wrong radio before you go to Taylor, and she has no idea. Now you can go across to Taylor. her there, and the little cub is bouncing around actually behind her. So Thandi thinks that the cub is in front of her, but really the cub is behind her, throwing the scrub hair all over the place and kind of bounding around. Now we have the smallest of small windows that we can see this female and her little one, and so hopefully they don't move too much, because if they move too much from here, we've got no chance. This is as far as I can get. We're right on the edge of this bank, and in fact I've got a huge big stump in front of me that I can't get over, so it's about as good a view as we're going to be able to find. And if she moves from here, then we've almost got zero chance from there. But let's see, she's still contact calling. She's chuffing a little bit, so she's making that sound every now and then, and that's to basically try and call the cub back towards her and try and get the cub to sit. There's the cub bounding in the back, but oof, I don't know if you're going to get it. Just to the back left of where you've there's a tamburti tree somewhere in that little area. The cub is bounding in the long grass, and only when it throws this carcass up can we see it. But let me just try something, VM. Hold on. I think I might be able to get you guys a view of the little one. I just need to try. Come on, car, get windy. So, there we go. That's as far as I can get round, I'm afraid. And I don't know if it's far enough for VM to be able to see the cub. I don't think so. I'm going to have to do... I won't be able to move, unfortunately. I can just get Thandi, and that's it. So we'll just have to wait and see if we can get the cub to come... Well, if the cub will come back towards Mom, and then we'll see it. But for now, it's just Thandi, which is fine. It's perfect. It's still a spotted cat, which is still exciting and still amazing. So Cecilia, Thandi used to spend a lot of time around camp. She used to see her there a lot. And Tlalamba, not so much, sort of used to spend more time in the drainage line south of camp, but she spent a lot of time walking around. Used to see her at Gallagher Pan, used to see her kind of walking between, well, where our cars park and all over those areas. But nowadays, no. Hukumuri spends so much time in that area. She doesn't seem to be spending time there, and Shadulu is also there so much that we're not seeing much of Thandi at all, I'm afraid, which is a bit sad. I was hoping that we would see Thandi a lot more than we have. Unfortunately, it's the situation with Hukumuri around. She won't spend time around the camp for now. Once this little one, if she manages to raise it successfully, she's then will start to kind of move and come back. But she's going off now. There we go. That's, I think, going to be our last views of her, I'm afraid. As she kind of moves off, it's impossible for us to go any further than where we are right now. I'm just waiting to see if maybe the little one bounds off and kind of comes towards where Thandi is, but I don't see any sign at this stage, unfortunately. I don't know, we can try maybe one or two more places, try and see if we can get a view, but for now, that's, I think, going to be it. Well, we tried, and it was good, and it was amazing while it lasted, so it's very, very special. Even if we don't get another view, I think we've been very successful this afternoon with Thandi. Watching her carrying that scrub hair down the road was just so epic, so I'm pretty happy with that. And we did get to see little one. We got a little brief glimpse of it and little face, so let's try and just see, though. You never know, I might be able to wangle another view from up top here. I can see there's another kind of gap that faces towards that area, so I'm going to try and do that, but hopefully I'm not going to get myself in the process. I'm just going to try and get myself around. Lots of moving around with this car today. Poor Wendy, probably sad that it got stopped for Jigger, because Jigger would have got this punishment instead this afternoon had Jigger decided to walk. Now, let's just try and see if we can just get around this corner, because if we get around this corner, theoretically, around this termite mound, I might be able to get one more view of her, or not maybe one more view, but at least a view of her. We just need to get back onto the road to get around a whole bunch of these buffalo thorns before they take half my leg and arm off. It's quite value, both of those, so if I can avoid being completely lacerated by a buffalo thorn, I'll go around. So we're going to try and sneak straight into the thicket and on top of the bank. Hopefully will allow us to keep signal. I'm not sure. We're going to just try our luck here. And it might be a situation where we lose signal, so I do apologize already on that regard. Oh, no, we have to... Sorry, Quarry Tree. I'm going to try and get over all of this, around this knobthorn. Careful there, Viam. It was hard work today. Now, theoretically, Viam, can you see anything through here? Straight there somewhere. So that's where I thought she might be, but I don't see any sign of her. Unfortunately, I might have a situation where we're just going to have to scan around a little bit. Let's just go forward. Thandi, are you there? And I'm trying to see where she could be, but I don't see her at all. So I think, unfortunately, she's just gone too far for us to be able to actually see from the top here. We might have to try and get another way around and try and see what else we can get. Good. I believe Brent has been off the cars tracking, and hopefully he's managed to have some success. But let's go across and find out. Height to actually be able to see her. So that's really good news, and that we can spend, hopefully, the rest of the drive with her. Now, I can't see the little one anyway. I'm just looking around. She was bounding around in these long grass areas just to my right hand side. So this is the kind of last time I saw her, was in this thicket here, and she kind of moved around and she was playing and stuff. So I think she's somewhere in all of this. If Thandi's lying like this and is so relaxed, then the little one is close by and she knows where the little one is, and so we don't have to stress too much about it. She's probably just throwing her scrub hair about and having a really good time of it. Could even be in one of these trees, knowing this little cat like to climb. And so maybe she's up in one of the trees by now already. But Thandi is looking ever so relaxed and super chilled about life. So she's in a fairly good mood today, which is excellent. She has not been at all feisty with us. She hasn't shown any sign of discomfort, which is really good news. Djuma, Tlalamba will probably be, I don't know, out of danger from Hukumuri when she's 2.5, 3 even, when she's able to kind of mate with him. So it's a very, very long way from where we are now. I mean, 2 is well, 2.5, should I say, is 2 years from now. So that's a long, long time. And the chances of her being okay in 2.5 years' time is, I don't know. I feel like it's going to be very difficult. She's going to have a really tough time of it. The thing is, though, is that we saw with Hosana and Shangila that they can survive from a year old, but whether Hukumuri will see her as a threat or not, I don't know, or as a potential kind of mating opportunity and leave her alone at a year old, I have no idea. It's going to be interesting to see. The problem is also you've got quarantine, you've got Hosana, you've got Tamba. There's a lot of different males around him. So for this one to survive, it's kind of odds are against it heavily at the moment. There's so many males in this area that's going to make it very difficult for her to be kind of okay and to move around. So I don't know, unless Thandi can find a spot where she can keep out of the way of the boys, and she's a very clever female, and she's able to kind of worm her way around. I mean, you've seen already, Hukumuri's come in here, and she's kind of almost had a sixth sense when it's come to him, because she's kind of hears him coming almost and just gone. You don't find her, you don't see her. She's very elusive in the way that she walks around, and also incredibly clever with the way that she walks on roads. You'll notice with her when she walks with the cub, and the cub is in tow, that she does not kind of walk down roads for long periods of time. She goes straight across a road, which makes it very difficult for hyenas and male leopards to be able to find her and to track her through the long grass. So it's going to be an interesting thing to kind of see how it goes. Now, it is getting dark. It is starting to kind of get into the dingy sort of dusk period, and that means Taylor Mac needs to go home. So let's jump across to her so she can just quickly say goodbye. Tlalamba is out and about and busy feasting, and actually, if you sit very quietly, you can hear the little one crunching the small bones of the scrub hares. It's been a bad day for scrub hares all round by the sounds of things. Brent has maimed and cut off a foot after a warthog's had a go, and now this little one is tucking in as well. But I'm going to keep quiet so we can try and hear the little crunching of the bones. There we go. You can just hear it very faint. And also birds are making lots of noise, so the little one is just feasting away, and I think she's going to eat probably most of what's left there. I don't think or maybe she won't finish all of it, but she'll definitely eat a lot of that, and poor mom is probably not going to be left with too much. But look, she's got it in her mouth. I wonder if she's got that kind of instinct yet to tree this. It'll be interesting to see, because we know that Shadulu treed her little scrub hare, and I wonder if this little one will take a scrub hare into the tree. The nice thing for these two is that they don't really have to stress too much about hyenas at the moment, because hyenas are so interested in that elephant and so full that the leopards are having a bit of a freebie for the next few days, is that they're able to kind of keep their kills probably a little bit more successfully than they would when there's no elephant around. So you can see we're in infrared, and that infrared light that we've just put on is because it's starting to get really dark. And I know it's difficult to make out this little one. You can just see how incredible... Excuse me, I sort of got a bit of grass seeds in my nose. But, thank you, Nikki. You can see how well camouflage works and why we were struggling to find this little cub earlier in the day. It was just literally running around us. I kept finding tracks on top of our vehicle tracks, on top of my footprints, back and forth, and Franklin would alarm, then the next Franklin would alarm, squirrel, and then Nyala, and it was kind of just going around in circles. And that's the reason why, is that you literally just cannot see this little cub in this long grass. The camouflage is perfectly designed, and it's now feeding, and it's not worrying about us, so it's moving. But you can imagine when it's sitting dead still, not wanting to be seen with its head tucked down, there's literally no chance that you'll spot this one. We're just lucky that Thandi so happened to bring a carcass to her and call her out, and that's why we managed to get some views of this little one this evening. So very special that we got it, and hopefully she'll grow a little bit so that we can see her through this long grass going forward in the future. But she really is starting to kind of develop, and such a little character, this cover. It amazes me how she picked up that carcass, and when she dragged it across the drainage line, she was just like Thandi in the way that she walked, kind of head up, proud, like, look at me, I've got this little scrub here, and it was walking just like mom would walk. So very, very cute as she kind of pranced around. And she also had that, that prancing kind of gait when a, horses kind of gets a high gait. I don't even know what the term is, Taylor will know, when they get that sort of trot. And this little cub had the same thing, where the paws were being lifted extra high just to show off, with the head held high, and almost looked at us at one point as if to say, look what I'm doing, I'm carrying this whole scrub here across the drainage line. It was very, very cute to see. So amazing that we able to kind of spend time with her, and she's such a special little character that it's very, very cool that she's around. And it's amazing how Thandi just comes to the same places. She knows exactly where she needs to be in order to try and keep this cub safe, and she goes into these dense, thick areas, and she probably spends a lot more time on Djuma than we're even realizing at the moment. It's so dense and so thick in these sections that she likes to hang out in, that proves to be very difficult to find. If you didn't know she was here and you hadn't gotten tracks, it would have been almost impossible to get through and find her here. You would have struggled to have spotted her. Now somebody is just calling me on the radio, so I'm just going to quickly answer. Go ahead, Sharp. So it's just one of the landowners. No worries, Charles. Hopefully tomorrow will be better. So it was just one of the guys saying thank you for the Thandi sighting, but they didn't get much of, unfortunately. They arrived a little bit later, and they didn't really get to see very nicely, either of them. So just saying hopefully that they'll get some luck next time or tomorrow morning, when hopefully these two will be somewhere on a road, or maybe drinking some water, or somewhere out and about. I'm pretty sure we're going to have a situation where Brent will be on foot in this area trying to track them down first thing tomorrow morning. I think Brent's walking tomorrow morning, Brent or myself, but one of us will be here to try and track them down, and then see if we can maybe find them again in the morning. I don't think they're going to go too far, but you never know. It depends all on what happens during the night. Do lions start roaring? Do male leopards start walking in this area? That will all dictate as to how far Thandi will move from this section. But what I can guarantee you is that carcass will not be here tomorrow morning. This is a mere snack for these two, and they will literally devour every little bit of it in 2 seconds, and that will be the end of it, gone, and she'll kind of move off from here. She won't stick around where they ate, because there'll still be a scent, and there's still that instinct to move away from where she's finished her carcass in case hyenas do come. Even though the hyenas are pretty preoccupied, they will still come and investigate if they smell something dead. At the end of the day, maybe fresh meat is better than rotten elephant for a hyena as well. So we'll just have to see how it goes. It's going to be interesting though, but at least she's deep into Djuma at the moment, and right in the central part, which is really very nice to have her back in this area once again. Amazing camouflage though. It's absolutely unbelievable. So Inga, I believe you've just joined and you're not sure what's kind of happening here and what we're actually looking at. You can just see movement behind the grass. Well, Inga, if we just go to the left, I see Thandi's head is up, so we might be able to see her a little bit better. But basically, Inga, what's happened is we have a female leopard with her cub. So Thandi and her little one, and Thandi managed to grab a scrub hare while she was on her territorial patrol. There you can see the back of her head at the moment, and she then walked with the scrub hare all the way back, and they've met up now, and the little cub is actually feeding. So what we were seeing moving in the grass there was the little one just feeding on the scrub hare, and then this is Thandi just lying off to the side having a bit of a feed. And so it's been a really cool sighting. It's been amazing. We will kind of watch Thandi walking down the road with the scrub hare dangling from her mouth, and then joining up, and then the little one taking it. So it's been a very cool afternoon from that regard, and hopefully that you will enjoy it. Hopefully one of them will stand up, and that will get a situation where you'll be able to see them a little bit better than what we're seeing now. I know the view at the moment is not very good, and hopefully it will improve shortly, and maybe one of them will stand up or move, and we'll be able to get to see something. The problem with where they are is they're kind of blocking my escape route somewhat. It's so thick in here that it's going to be an interesting way to negotiate this in the night, but we'll try our very, very best. So, Jay Ruckus, I'm not sure if you are a new viewer, but you say this is very educational, but if you are a new viewer, welcome to our Safari Live, and welcome to The Addiction, and hopefully you'll be with us and ask lots of questions. And if you are interested in things and you want to learn from us, we will try our very best to help you along the way. So if you have any questions, be sure to ask them, and remember, just use the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter or on YouTube chat, and we'll try and answer as many questions as you may have. Anyway, while we sit with these two and hope that one of them stands up, that we get a little bit of a better view and hope that we kind of see what goes on, let's send you back across to Brent and find out what he's been up to. I don't know if he's still at the carcass, but either way, I'm sure he has something entertaining to tell you.